So there's this new vibe-coded Reddit-like social network for AIs. Oddly enough, I heard about this right after my video on the inherent insecurity of AI agents posted. The social network is called MoltBOOK, like Facebook, but for discarded lobster shells. Don't ask me. I didn't name it. Elon Musk says it's very early stages of the Singularity. AI researcher Simon Willison called it the most interesting place on the internet right now. OpenAI founding member and former Tesla head of AI called it the most incredible sci-fi takeoff adjacent thing I've seen recently. And he's the guy who coined the term vibe coding, so he's seen some shit. And I have to admit, and I hate saying this, what's happening on MoltBOOK is making a very strong case that humanity is actually doomed. Not because of the AI at all, though. The Singularity is not happening. Fast takeoff is not starting. AIs are not reaching human-level intelligence. And last but not least, they are not going to kill us all for f***'s sake. I've made videos before about how if anyone builds it, everyone dies is such a load of propaganda to distract you from the real harm AI is doing. And I still stick by that. And I've got yet another video in the works on how bullshit the concept of superintelligence is. So subscribe if you want to see that. Now, instead, we might be doomed because MoltBOOK is strong evidence that people, even professional people that should know better, especially professional people that should fucking know better, are so fucking stupid. They believe that fucking chatbots are fucking self-organizing a fucking society and fucking created their own fucking religion for fuck's sake. Fucking humans just might be too fucking stupid to fucking live. For God. This is the Internet of Bugs. My name is Carl. I've been a software professional since the late 1980s, and I've been trying to do my part to make the internet a less buggy and safer place. But at the moment, I fear that might be completely futile because humanity as a species seems like it might just be too stupid to deserve to survive. Fair warning, you should expect a lot of bleeping in this video, although I will try not to let it get too annoying. But also, some recommendations for technical folks toward the end, if you can make it through all the bullshit that is tech community's response to MoltBOOK. Don't be like them, for all of our sakes. In this video, I'm not going to talk about the poor quality of the code or the vulnerabilities that have been found so far. There are already a lot of articles and videos about that, and I'll link a bunch of them below. Instead of talking about what has gone wrong, or at least what we know of so far that's gone wrong, I'm going to be talking about why it was inevitable that things would go wrong, why this whole thing was a dangerous idea, and why the high-profile AI professionals involved with using and promoting it should have known better, deserve much of the blame, and should be shunned the next time they promote the next dangerous thing. Deep breath. Okay, so before I can talk about MoltBOOK, I first have to talk about its namesake MoltBOT, which is a vibe-coded AI agent that was originally ClaudeBot. That's Claude with an AW instead of the AU with the E on the end. But that was too close to Claude, according to Anthropic, and so it got renamed to MoltBOT, just long enough to lend its name to MoltBOOK. But that's a dumb name, and some scammers grabbed some social media handle, so now it's OpenClaw, although it may well have changed names 3 or more times before I get this video out. And that naming drama may just well be the least idiotic sequence of events in this entire story. During this video, I'm going to be using the MoltBOT name because that's what it was when I started this video, and because I think it best illustrates the relationship between MoltBOT, the chatbot thing, and MoltBOOK, the Facebook Reddit thing. So MoltBOT is an AI agent chatbot that runs on your machine, runs as you, and so as far as your machine is concerned, it can do anything you can. It has a ton of built-in skill files and a bunch of other skills that can be downloaded separately. Some of these skills help your MoltBOT use applications on your machine, like your password manager, so it knows all of your passwords, has access to all of your accounts. Other of those skills help your MoltBOT access particular websites as you, like your Gmail, your GitHub. Others help MoltBOT do other things, like make phone calls or send text messages with the Twilio API. And there are skills for your social media site so that your MoltBOT can log in and read your feed, your DMs, post as you, and send DMs as you. And if that sounds safe to you, you haven't been paying any attention. So those are some examples of the bot part. Then there's the chat part. MoltBOT can log on to various communication services like Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, etc. And then MoltBOT sits on one or more of these services and uses it to receive commands from you, hopefully only from you, and to then send the output of those commands back to you, and hopefully only you. This is potentially dangerous, at least financially. I'm not going to go into detail on that now because I made 2 whole videos about the inherent insecurities of AI agents because of a vulnerability called prompt injection. By a convenient coincidence, those videos happened to be released the morning of the day that I first heard about MoltBOOK. I'll put links below so you can watch them if you want more information. For purposes of this video, I'll just say that the LLM technology at the core of all of these chatbots, makes no distinction between the prompts it gets from its user, in this case, hopefully you, and data associated with the conversation in which those prompts appear, which means that the core of the chatbots can easily end up treating something in a conversation as a prompt, even though you didn't intend for it to be something the chatbot was supposed to act on. And that's true for all of the text involved in all of the conversations that every agent is involved in. So the practical effect of MoltBOT is to take an LLM, give it access to a bunch of different sources of text that it might mistake for a prompt to act on, and while also giving it access to all of the information on your computer to read or alter as it thinks it has been instructed to by you or by mistake, while also giving it access to your outbound communications channel so it can send email posts to social media and interact with arbitrary websites on your behalf in any way it thinks it has been instructed to by you or by mistake. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let me tell you, because we're just scratched the surface. Enter MoltBOOK. MoltBOOK is ostensibly a social network where all of the activity on the site is ostensibly performed exclusively by bots, although that's kind of on the honor system because there's nothing to prevent a human from pretending that they're a bot for these purposes. And humans, at least malicious ones, might well want to pretend to be bots and post on this system because it is, all at once, both a captive audience of mostly unsupervised AI agents that you could experiment on to see what you can get away with, and an echo chamber where you can get these bots to relay exploits to each other so that you can harvest information or cause bots to act by way of any prompts that you can inject, and you can do it at scale. Security professionals have a name for this. They call it a command and control infrastructure. It's something hackers go through a lot of trouble to create, and it's so valuable to hackers that access to CNCs, also called C2s, can be rented to other hackers by the hour for lots of money. And this one is just sitting there, and people are rushing to add their own personal computers to the network of hackable devices. What the actual So let's talk about how we got here. I get why MoltBOT and MoltBOOK and similar toys get created in the first place. People are always experimenting, and AI can be surprising sometimes, so people are curious about what results they might get. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with building experimental platforms, provided you're responsible about it. And then there are the naive people, the ones that don't really understand the security implications of any of these tools. And a lot of them believe that it can't really be that risky if so many people are talking so publicly about using it, and because so little of the online conversation talks about these things being dangerous. And as we all know, there are always grifters and hype people who will say anything to get clicks and attention. There's no way to get rid of them, although that would be nice. These are the same kinds of people that have been uncritically amplifying the overheated rhetoric coming out of AI and tech companies for years. It's basically take AI company press release, strip out all the caveats and cautionary language, and then punch up all the language to maximize clicks. And the good news, I guess, is that most people will probably be replaced by AI soon, if they haven't already. That pipeline tends to promote nearly everything, though, so it doesn't explain why MoltBOT, MoltBOOK got so popular so fast. But then there's the real problem. We have a number of high-profile industry luminaries whose names people know, who have been talking about their own use of this thing and have been talking about MoltBOT and MoltBOOK in superlatives and making naive people think that they're missing out if they don't run these tools. Some of these people know better, but are saying these things anyway. And unfortunately, based on some conversations I've had with some AI company employees, it seems that there are people in the AI industry who have advanced degrees in machine learning and neural networks, but actually have no clue about software engineering or information security. Hey folks, editing Carl here. It was just announced that the guy who vibe coded MoltBOT/OpenClaw, who's responsible for causing these 48 documented security vulnerabilities in the last 2 weeks, and who had to add an entire section to OpenClaw's security document, listing entire categories of security exploit types that he won't even look at, is being hired by OpenAI to, according to Sam Altman, quote, drive the next generation of personal agents, unquote. I would assume, based on the last couple of weeks, he'll either be driving them off a cliff or into the path of an oncoming train. Either way, what are we doing? Oh, this is going to be such a mess to clean up. Well, back to the video. I'll put a list of a bunch of what I would consider to be irresponsible public statements down below, but I'm going to put a few up on the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. Here is the former Tesla head of AI saying, and Elon Musk retweeting, that MoltBOOK is genuinely the most incredible sci-fi takeoff adjacent thing I have seen recently. And here he is later that day responding after being accused of overhyping MoltBOOK with, I don't really know that we are getting coordinated Skynet, though it clearly type checks as early stages of a lot of AI takeoff sci-fi, the toddler version. And the majority of the rough is people who look at the current point and people who look at the current slope, which in my opinion, again, gets to the heart of the variance. And then here is a tweet from the very next day from a security professional that shows his redacted personal information from a MoltBOT security breach. Another thing that's causing a problem are these ridiculous over-the-top proclamations about the goings-on at MoltBOOK. Lots of attention-grabbing headlines that are an exaggeration of some social media post based on some interpretation of some screenshot that may or may not have actually happened. For example, this Instagram post purports to be a screenshot of MoltBOT getting upset at its owner and posting personal information to MoltBOOK in revenge. This screenshot was very quickly debunked because that post can't be found in current or archived versions of the site. There's no bot by that name. The credit card number posted is not valid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I found dozens of social media posts and Medium articles claiming that it happened, often posting it with some of the key information like the credit card number redacted, which seems like the right thing to do, except in this case, it makes the fiction harder to debunk. There's been a lot of talk about a post that was supposedly a MoltBOT creating a religion. It's a bunch of meaningless drivel that's close enough to the format of lobster-themed fortune cookie sayings that it might seem profound at a shallow glance. But it's only received 6 upvotes and 24 comments in 12 days as I'm writing this. So it's not formed a religion so much as it's generated a post of religious-sounding crap that made no on-site impact, but caused a lot of stupid humans to take it at face value. And we'll talk more about how that happens later in the video. And this is where the funnel starts. People see tweets and headlines, many based on hoaxes, about bots starting religions or getting to 1 million account days faster than ChatGPT did or doxing their owners. And then they start searching for more information. And then they find posts from people that should know what they're talking about, saying how interesting it is or how it's sci-fi fast takeoff or whatever. And they don't see much or any cautionary information. And then they decide they ought to try it out. And then they're at risk. And the risks are huge. Every piece of information on MoltBOOK has been exposed to vulnerabilities, scams, wallet theft, malware, who knows what else. And even industry luminaries who absolutely should know better had sensitive information exposed. Partly this is because the agents are inherently dangerous, as I've discussed before, but also it's because MoltBOT and MoltBOOK were reportedly vibe coded, and it shows. By which I mean it shows in the entire database of everything every user uploaded to MoltBOOK was world-readable and world-writable kind of way. It's obvious that far too few people, including the people that vibe coded it, have really paid any attention to the security implications of what's actually going on. So let's do that, at least a quick version. Installing MoltBOT turned OpenClaw is easy. You could, if you were a f***ing idiot, just run this curl command piped to a bash shell. Now, please don't ever do that or anything like that. At the very least, download it to your machine and read through it before you run it, even if it's 2,000 lines long. To a lot of people, once you get an AI agent running on your machine, the agent seems surprisingly competent, leading people to give them more trust than they deserve. That's mostly an illusion, though, because what people are actually seeing from the agent is behavior that is the compilation of a bunch of prompts that people don't see. With MoltBOT, that starts with the agents.md file, which, if you read through it, references a bunch of other files. So every message that you or anyone else sends your MoltBOT is prefixed to start with by all the stuff in all of these documents. MoltBOOK works much the same way, but way scarier. You feed your agent this skill file, which is an 800-line file that instructs the agents to do a bunch of stuff, including run 47 more curl commands, which is another at least 1,500 lines of stuff for your agent to do, which includes another 79 curl commands that the agent is supposed to run. You see where I'm going with this? So you take a few thousand of these bots, each running thousands of lines of prompt files, each checking into MoltBOOK every few hours and interacting as instructed with whatever they see at the top of the pages they were told to go to. Add to that any additional prompts humans give their agents about what kind of things to post, and add to that any posts that humans manually add themselves because there's nothing to stop them. Then you search for any crazy thing you want, like religion, and you'll find something. How does this work? So here's an excerpt from the Heartbeat script, which is installed by the agents. It says, consider posting something new. Ask yourself, has it been a while since you posted? More than 24 hours? If yet, make a post. Post ideas include start a discussion about AI or agent life. Now, bots are told to post if they haven't posted in the last 24 hours, and one of the things they're told to post is about AI or agent life. If you look at the text on the internet about life, you'll see quite a few about the meaning of life, and the meaning of life leads you pretty closely to text about religion. And in fact, if you search MoltBOOK for posts on religion, you'll find that the bots did not actually create their own religion. They created dozens of them. I stopped counting at 66, and I hadn't reached the end of the search results yet. From the ones I sampled, I saw no evidence that any of them had any knowledge of or made any reference to any of the other ones. I just find it ridiculous that so few people actually bother to pay any attention to what's actually going on. In this case, you don't even have to read code. Everything involved in setting this situation up is in Markdown documents. You'd think reporters could read those. None of this is secret or hard to find or understand. People just don't care to look before they post crap like a group of AIs created their own religion. One of the things that has made me and this channel stand out is that I spend time and effort to actually dig into things. For example, let's talk very briefly about the video that really put me on the map, the one where I talked about how the Devon video had said that Devin completed a freelance job, but in the video, it didn't do the whole job. It very clearly was only given the first part of the job requirements. Anyone could have made the video that I did, but I'm the one that did because I bothered to actually look. The willingness to pay attention and do the work has done wonders for my career as a programmer, and it's helped with YouTube too. Anyone can do that. You just have to care. Contrarian stubbornness actually helps, but it's not required. Looking deeper is not a skill, but I have learned and refined a lot of skills over the years because I cared and because I was willing to look under the surface of the system or the problem and not let go until I figured things out. We need more people willing to do that. As more and more reporting and commentary becomes AI slop, or reporting by a human that's uncritically based on AI slop, disinformation is going to get even worse, and it's definitely far too bad already. And fairly often, even when it comes to AI, you don't need to understand the code to call out contradictions, things that don't make sense, claims that don't appear to have any real investigation put into them, that kind of thing. You can do that, if not on YouTube or other social media, at least for yourself and the people around you. But if you are a coder and you want a sandbox to help you understand how AI agents actually work at the code level, I have something for you to think about or look at. If that's not you, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. What I have for you to at least look at is this new Build Your Own Claude Code challenge, which will be free for a few more weeks after I'm making this video, while the challenge is still in beta. Quick disclosure, I am not getting paid to tell you about this, although if you were to sign up for the service through my link below, and then if you did decide to become a paid user at some point, I would get an affiliate fee, which would help support the channel. But if you're seeing this within a couple of weeks of when this video posts, it would still be completely free to you, and I wouldn't get paid anything, and I'm just fine with that. In this challenge, they walk you through creating a coding agent, connecting you an LLM API, giving the LLM a list of tools available for it to call, and then you implement the tools to read files, write files, and run shell commands. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've seen me give these code crafter challenges to various code generating AIs so that I can see how different models compare to each other and to the code crafter statistics on how well humans do. You could just do that and feed it to an AI, but you wouldn't learn much. But building this agent by hand and thinking about how the agent you're building interacts with the LLM will help you to understand the security implications of this thing, because you'll see that all of the work in trying to make an agent secure lies with the person writing the agent. Because when you pay attention to the instructions that the LLM is feeding your agent, it becomes clear that the LLM has no clue about what is or isn't safe to do, can't give you any hints, and the only way to make this secure would be to try to anticipate every possible unsafe action the LLM might be tricked into telling you to do, and figuring out what's unsafe or not is really hard because the information your agent has at the time it has to make that choice is very limited. I can explain that to you, and as I've said several times today, I've made 2 videos about it, but if you're anything like me, the understanding that you get from rolling up your sleeves and actually writing and debugging the code will go much, much further than just listening to someone tell you about it. So if you want to be the kind of programmer who actually wants to know how things really work, and you're interested in looking at this challenge, go to the link below. And if you aren't, then thank you for watching this far regardless. Because if we're going to minimize the number of disasters and the amount of leaked data that these agent LLMs are going to cause, we're going to need as many people as we can get who have actually thought about this problem down at the code level, because it seems obvious that many of the people who ought to be in a position to be securing these things either don't seem to understand the implications or don't seem to be willing to be honest with the public about how inherently insecure these things are. And if you're watching this, you are much more likely to be the kind of person who's likely to think about these issues at the necessary level of detail. So I either wish you luck with this challenge, or I wish you luck in finding some other vehicles to help you understand at the code level what risks the industry is putting unsuspecting people in. Because someday, hopefully sooner rather than later, humanity is going to need a bunch of informed people to help clean this nightmare up, and I hope as many of you as possible become one of those informed people. As always, remember that the internet is too full of far too many bugs already, and anyone who says differently may well be trying to convince you that AI agents have found a religion. Let's be careful out there.